You're muted though. You're muted.
Yes,
It is?
yes, he is my region. Yes,
He's a hard worker.
yes, he
Okay.
is. He's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
on it.
Yeah.
He's on it. Okay, guys, we're gonna open everyone. Let them in.
Hi.
Welcome,
Hey.
everyone.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on?
Some are still joining.
People of the world, what's going on?
It.
Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. You look comfortable.
I am in this awesome computer.
Oh, you are. You're in a different chair, Laura.
Yes.
I mean, you're actually in a chair.
Nice.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Aaron. What's up?
Nothing. How was your Christmas?
Okay. I tried to call you earlier.
Oh, I didn't know you tried to call me.
Oh.
Hey, we're gonna get started in like a minute. I believe people are trickling in. So,
Hi,
Happy New Year, Jimmy.
Happy New Year, everybody.
But how are you?
Hi, Christine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hello.
Good.
okay, folks. I
Josie,
think
it
we're
may
gonna
be
get
an internet
started.
issue because it was
What-
real slow coming in.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, because like I put my stuff in before 7
Yeah.
and it just came through when I first joined that it let me in. So I
Okay.
don't know if it's an internet issue.
Very well could be. Well, as people trickle in, we will welcome them. So, hi everyone. Welcome to a brand new year of trail. I'm glad you could join us. So today we're going to kind of do a recap. I think you guys probably all hear me and echo me when we look at this past few months we've been together and how much we have all been through during this short time. Life has changed a lot. And so, I think that this is a good time to kind of refocus and recap and show what is really important, what trail really is about. Because I know some people are feeling like they're behind. I can promise you, you're not, because everyone's working on different pieces of all of this, and no one, including myself, is an expert in the bill, in lobbying. And so, we're all in this journey together. Allie, did you have a slide that we should have up right now?
That summarizes all of the things we just have.
No.
We're gonna kind of go by month.
Okay, no, that's fine. I didn't know if I should have something instead of my face. So anyhow, we are using today to really like go back through what we've been working on, and kind of, just get you guys ready and rolling for the next round of work, and I want you all to realize you being you and you being a part of this group in itself is really important. And it's not about if you have the perfect letter or a piece of art. It's about you and your story. And so that is what we're really going to talk about tonight, is going back to the fundamentals of why we even started this group in the first place. And it's about getting you and your story out there to make a difference. So I'm going to turn it over to Allie and Ev.
Sure. Is everybody doing okay? Everybody enjoy the holiday and all that fun stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 2020, though, well, hopefully it's a better year.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for, right? I don't want to step on Allie's toes, but as Josie was saying, we're going to look at kind of doing a review and kind of bringing everything together. And as Allie mentioned to Josie, we're going to kind of go through things month by month and kind of explain things and kind of give you a purpose and a reason for why we're all here and what this all means, and try to help that and kind of ease some of the stress you might be feeling about some of the homework that we've given or things that we're doing. We really want to stress the importance of you all being here and being a part of the process and being a group that supports each other to bring the power of your story to life and to give your story to let it have the most impact that it possibly can. So go ahead, Allie.
I always do my normal check. I'm assuming you would tell me. Can you see the presenter view or the PowerPoint?
The PowerPoint today.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So like Everett said, we're going to kind of go through month by month, just nothing too in depth, but just reviewing sort of the key points of each thing. The other thing that we're going to do, I just want to reiterate that we're going to really truthfully, we say this every time, but we're actually going to have time at the end where we all get together with our regions, and we're going to have space for you all to sort of talk about where you're at in the process, what we can do to help, what maybe we could be doing better, how to kind of keep those lines of communication open. So this really is one of those times where we can all breathe and sort of get back on track. So we don't want anybody to be stressed. Mm-hmm. So in month 1 was really, I think, the overarching main point of what all of this is about. So we wanted to kick it off right away talking about that topic, which is telling your story. Having that kind of impact by simply telling everyone about your story, who you are, what you've been through, can really have the greatest change that we can see. So being able to share that story is so important in this process.
Well, and I'm looking at Josie saying that I believe that this is the most important part of this. Yeah. Right. This is, if there's one product that you would finish during this, it would be really getting your story put in a way that you feel comfortable with, whether that's writing it down, like some of you have, whether that's recording it on a video and sending it, whether that's putting it in a poem, however you want to do it. We'll get into that. But month 1, like Ali was saying, was really the basis of the foundation, or the heart of what we were looking for, is for you to get your story down on paper and to feel some level of empowerment by writing it down or putting it out there. And that's one of the biggest pieces. Joe, did I get that right? Is that about right? Give a thumbs up. Okay.
I agree. And I think the reason we started with this, and we'll try to connect these dots as we go through the next couple, but really all of the other stuff, the other homework or goals, whatever you want to call it, relates back to this piece right here, the telling of your story. So all of the other trainings that we do are going to be, okay, now you have this story. Where can you use your story? How can you use your story? How can you bring other people together to share their stories? So it really does all kind of relate back to this.
And I can understand how going through this month by month, it might feel a little bit.
I did, yes.
It did?
Thank you.
Yeah. So go ahead if you want to.
Yeah, I think it can feel a little bit disjointed. So we're hoping that this kind of binds all of it together for you guys. So just again, reviewing a little bit about what we talked about. We have your keys to success, which are going to be to keep the story personal, relatable to the audience, make sure you're very clear and concise, or to the point of what you're trying to say, so that you can capture folks' attention. We're going to kind of make some sort of choice about what your story is going to be about. Obviously, we all live very, hopefully, full, complex lives with a lot of different pieces. In order to keep it concise, we want to make sure that we are focusing on maybe one topic in particular or one piece of our story so that we can really effectively create change. From that choice, you're going to build sort of a roadmap about where you're going to go, and then start to actually create that narrative or start to write about your story. The key points of this are then you're going to test it out, try it on someone, telling someone your story, and then you're going to edit it. We have, I think many of us here have kind of what people would call an elevator speech of our story, but we are constantly changing how exactly we share that story. Even though the main meat of what that story is all the same, we might adjust it based on who we talk to. Ev, do you want to talk about what we need to keep in mind?
Sure. I'm trying to see where this is at. Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah. So what Allie was saying is that you do want to be you want to be yourself. You don't want to be someone that you're not, and you want to keep your story personal. If you remember back all the way to month 1, Dan Miller talked about the idea is that he wants to learn from the people that he represents, and he wants to feel what they're actually going through. And he told us all that somebody telling a personal story about themselves that's real hits home for him. You want to stay on track and stick to your topic, right? You want to, that's why writing down your story or having an outline for it is so important when you're doing it for the first time, because it allows you to kind of see where you're going and helps you to stay on track when you're telling it. You want to make sure that it flows so people can make sense of it, right? The way that I have done this is I go in order of time, and that helps me to keep it on track in my own head, but also helps people know where we are in the story. And I just can't stress this enough, but you definitely want to be positive, right? And
that doesn't necessarily mean we want to paint things with rose-colored glasses or pretend that,
everything's happy.
if you add hard parts of your story, if there are difficult times, that's very relatable for a lot of folks. They want to hear about that. They want to hear that they can relate to the struggles that you may have had. So our point here is that you want to end on a more positive note. That allows people to see, oh, there's something that we can do about this. There's a way we can overcome this struggle. So when we're talking about speaking our story to change makers, we want to draw the picture for them. Here might be some barriers, struggles, and difficulties, but this is how we're going to get through that. You want to be encouraging to people as you tell them your story so that you can affect change.
Because, like Ali said, there's going to be tough parts, but people are going to respond better if they feel like they can do something, right? It shouldn't just be a sob story that feels like, oh, what are we going to do? It's almost like you want to tie it into like, this is my story and here's how I think this could be improved or what we could do. And then you can leave it positive.
So we talked a lot about this. The homework for the first month was really developing that foundation of your story. Had some worksheets for you guys to sort of begin to think through that process. We did talk a lot about style as well and wanted you to be thinking about that. So writing it on paper is great. And like Everett said, that's such an important place to start. But as you start to share your story in different ways, I want you to think about what your own personal style is.
Because some people leverage humor. Some people are very straightforward, and then other people are really emotional, right? And you should embrace those things. And the worksheet that was created for this in month 1 was literally a way of breaking down writing your story. And I think for some, it might have been a little bit confusing because at the end, it was like, okay, now write it all, right? So when you're looking at that worksheet, it was to really help break down the process of writing out what things are most important, what kind of thing you want to focus on, and then writing it into one longer story. But for some people, it might, and I know that I saw some homework like this, where people just wrote things, and that's okay. We just wanted to build a worksheet that might support you to write that down. But if you have your own way of writing, or you just want to write what you feel is important to you, or you want to record what's important to you, that's totally fine. Don't feel stressed by the worksheets. They were meant to be helpful. And I can see how that might be stifling for some when you're trying to write something down. But
Sure. And I know that we're calling this homework. We're sitting here for an hour and we're doing trainings. People are talking at you and we have due dates and all of these things. So it can very much feel like a class, but this is much more, I would consider it professional development. You're really trying to develop a skill, and we're here to try and help you do that as best we can. So, don't feel pressured about any of the quote unquote homework that we're giving you. We'll try to do better about making sure we are clear about what the goal and the purpose of each of these things are so that we can help you get to that end goal.
Well, and the last thing I'll say before we go to month 2 is there are several people on this call who are veterans
Yes.
at doing this in your regions, right? There are people that know how to do this, your trail guides included, or that have done this before. And so at the end of today, we're going to get together in the group and kind of talk about these things to support each other. And so I encourage you to reach out to your friends and those people that you know, have them tell their story to you, and you do vice versa, and learn from each other. I can tell you that, Josie, I'll point you out that, years and years and years ago, we did that all the time. We just talked about different aspects of our lives, and it like molded stories, right? And that's what we did. And so, yeah.
I agree. Okay, so then again, we're going to keep trying to tie everything together. So the next month after we sort of introduce that giant topic of telling your story, we wanted to just kind of back up a little bit and talk about communication in general. And we called it communication on paper and beyond because, again, writing your story is very important to kind of begin that process. But there are so many different ways of communicating your story or communicating whatever message it is that you're trying to give. So we even have on this little one-pager to be thinking about the different methods or modes of communication. So we have written, verbal, then there's also more nonverbal or visual methods of communicating. A lot of times it's not one or the other, but rather all of those things combined that are working together to effectively communicate your message. We also talked about the fact that it's a process. As we kind of get better and better at sharing our story, it won't just feel like a speech. It's really going to feel like this bi-directional process where we are talking to someone, they're giving us feedback, and we're continuing to share stories. So Everett, very similar to what you just said that you and Josie used to do. It wasn't necessarily you giving Josie a speech or Josie giving you a speech. It was you all talking about your lives. And that really helps to kind of build our stories even more and really make change.
Well, and so, and I'll tell a little bit of a story that's short. So when the first time I told my story was, oh my gosh, Josie, 15 years ago? I'm old, right? And it happened by accident, to be honest. We were running an event and the keynote got sick. Like, what was it, Josie, like 5 days before the event or something? And they asked if somebody wanted to say stuff. And I was like, I'll do it. I don't care, right? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing at all. Have no idea. And so I wrote out what I was going to say. And then did the speech, I guess. and it was one of the most empowering things I've ever done. It's transformed my entire life, and has led me down a path of my career and all of that. But I say that to say I took that story and now have written blogs and created videos and done interviews and podcasts and different things that all revolve around me learning different, or me talking about my story and what I've experienced in my life, right? But it all starts from that point. So the idea of month two's homework was for you to take your story that you have written down and to present it in a different way, right? That might work with other audiences or different people that you're talking to, right? So we wanted you to focus on what components of your story were most important. How might you want to communicate your story in different ways? Is it writing a blog? Is it doing a video? Is it doing what Braden showed everybody and doing an art piece? These are, and I have done disability related art, right? Never thought in my life that I would do that. But again, it speaks to telling people who I am and what I've been through and what I'm passionate about, which is what we're all trying to get at in Trail. And I think it's awesome that there's about 30 of you in this room right now that are there to support everybody to go through this process. And so, or through this experience together, right? So if you write down your story, get it on paper, and then think about ways that it could be done differently. I haven't sang a story yet because I can't really sing that well.
Thank goodness. We can not do that.
Yeah, but we know some older advocates that literally are well-known
For doing
singers.
just that.
I want to say Caitlin Chazar, he's on your board, right? Johnny Crescendo, right? He's on the board of your cell, right? He sings about advocacy and stories. Okay, people do this stuff. They rap. Okay, it's
And I think it's interesting, something you said brings up a really good point. A lot of you, I can almost guarantee, have told your story in more than one way. But we oftentimes don't think about it in that way, that we have built this skill of ourselves to adapt and tell our stories in different capacities and different environments. So the purpose of this homework was to really intentionally pick something besides writing your story on paper so that you all can see how powerful your message is in a lot of different ways.
Well, and I did write a blog for a SIL, and the idea, and I actually kind of made fun of it. At the beginning, it was, can you take everyday disability etiquette problems or things that people do that are weird towards people with disabilities all the time? We all understand that. We've all been there. Mm-hmm. Can you take that and write about it in a way that is educational, but is also funny and people learn? And I was surprised that I would get at the height of the blog. Okay, I wasn't an amazing blogger. Okay, I wasn't like 1,000 or 1 million subscribers, but I got messages from people that I haven't talked to in 10 plus years telling me they were reading these blogs and they were thanking me for them. And it was like, and I wrote about how annoying it is to go shopping and how high the grocery card swipe counters are at a grocery store. These are stories that I wrote about. Or that I went to buy my wife's engagement ring with one of my best friends who does not have a disability, and they assumed that he was the one getting married. And I had to correct them and say, it's me who's getting married. I'd like to buy a ring now, right? And that's all the stories were, but I told them in a way that was impactful for change and changing people's minds and perspectives on things. And so those are the kind of things that you can do with your story or with your stories that are going to keep happening to all of us.
So then month 3, where we sort of left off, was just, again, what Everett was sort of leading us to, which is we have these stories and we're developing them and we're beginning to share them. But how do we actually utilize them in these relationships with change makers? You know, sometimes it's easier to talk to our friends about our stories or our family members, but now we're kind of taking that next step and using our story to actually create change. And by doing that, we need to be building relationships with our change makers.
And that's why there's been such a emphasis on legislators, right? And who can really help, because like Ali just said, it's great to tell your story to your friends, to maybe people at a school or educators or other family members and other people with disabilities, and that's empowering. But the way that we create change is by connecting with people that actually have influence on how things get changed. And in the US, that happens to be with lawmakers, right? So, and I'm not saying you can't have change in other ways, but if you want to have an impact that touches thousands or millions of people, a legislator is where that happens, right? So learning, Mark just said he can't sing either. He just can't sing.
All right, Mark, you and Ev can't sing.
But that's why this month 3 was really focused on you understanding who your legislators are, and then researching who they are as a person so that you can relate to them and then make an opportunity for you to tell your story, whether that be in person on a Zoom meeting, or in person on a Zoom meeting, in person in their office, or in an email that writes out things and gives them resources and thought. And so that's how this all interconnects. Because I hope as we go to the next slide, if Ali's ready to do that,
I think
it's all interconnecting, that it all kind of makes more.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that this month, especially if we were, feeling behind in telling our story, this was probably the month that could really feel, I think, the most overwhelming. Because now we're taking something that's very personal to us and trying to take it somewhere else. And when we hear about, Everett spoke about all the veterans that are on this call that have been doing this sort of work for a long time. And I think it can feel intimidating to take this next step. But again, the homework that we laid out and all of this information is really to sort of try and walk you through that process, but to be no pressure in doing that. So if you were approaching this homework, some of you may have already known the folks in your area and been able to answer all of these questions without even looking anything up. But for others, if you were feeling stuck, again, we're in just a very few minutes, we're going to be breaking out into regions. This is the time. Reach out to your networks, which is a topic that's going to be coming up, I think, in a month or two, and really use the resources around you to kind of learn this skill. So I don't want you all to feel too pressured about this homework. I think this is important for you all to kind of figure out what resources are out there to look up this information and to start thinking about these meetings with change makers, but we're here to help you in that process. So please use us for that purpose.
And like we said from the beginning, right? Go ahead, you can go on to the next thing because I was going to lead into this. So why are we doing all of this, right? The biggest thing, and it's the first thing here, right? Making change in your community, in your area is complex. And the homework was designed to help you go through the steps so that you can understand that, yes, my story is powerful, that it can have impact. You're living your day-to-day life, and sometimes it can feel like that's all I'm doing. But we all have a story. And if told in the right way or in a way that's real, it can have a great impact. We did month 2's homework where you're doing it a different way to help you tell your story to a variety of audiences or different people, right? And then helping you, the last piece is to help you communicate that story with people and build relationship with people that can help you make the change that you want to see in your life and in the lives of other people in this group and the disability community as a whole, right? That is one of the biggest things I had to learn, that I was a part of this massive community, and I now feel some kind of obligation to be a voice to those who may not have one. And I see this group Trail as a way of having a large group of people and helping those people find their voice within this space. And it means a lot to me to hear everybody's stories, to understand what their stories are, and to help you do it in a way that works for you and makes change for others, but is just really, really empowering for you at the end. So you should feel confident to advocate for something that affects your lives and the people in your community, right? People need to understand that even though you're just living life, your story matters, and you should use the people around you to support you in doing that. And that was the reason why Josie wanted to establish this group and have the great trail facilitators, the trail guys that you have, to support you and work with you throughout the months, right? Does that make sense? I see people resonating in the chat a little bit, so I'm hoping like we're getting some nods.
And I want
People aren't falling asleep.
I know. I want you guys to we're going to talk now about what we're going to be doing in the breakout rooms.
I have a question.
Yes.
We were not actually supposed to send those letters from last month's homework to anybody, right?
Okay, so let me touch on that one. So yes and no. So we've had some awesome like individuals who have like gung-ho, wrote their letter, mailed it or emailed it, and that's awesome. But that was not required, Laura. So we will definitely be getting to that point of mailing it or emailing it, probably emailing it for most. But to be honest, like a lot of the legislators weren't even in their offices most of December until like this week.
Today was the first day of session, right? I mean, today was literally for the new people that were recently elected and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so if you didn't send it, that's fine. If you did send it, cool. You're ahead of the game.
And if you did send it, and now that we're talking, or when you talk to your regions and you want to edit it or whatever, these are live documents. It's meaning it's your life. They can always be changed or adjusted. So, keep sending things as you're thinking of it. I think we've probably had some people who may have sent like multiple types of stories. I myself have probably a few different points that I tend to like to make. And there could be a story for each of those points, so it's not terribly long, or it might be used for different things. So
right.
All of that is.
It's actually funny to hear you say that, Allie, because I have been doing this long enough that I now have stories that I know resonate or seem to work for teachers, those that work with parents, the stories that work with young people, even though I'm old and I'm balding, as you can see, right? Or agency personnel, right? Like my OVR story is intense, and it crushes OVR counselors when they hear what my experience was. And in talking with legislators or talking to other people that are lawmakers or influential people, you can change your story based on who you're talking to. And I think that, but the only way that you can do that is by putting it down on paper and trying it out. I have also told stories that have completely tanked, and people are like, I have been told that doesn't connect with me, right? So you're not going to win everybody, but as long as you're true to yourself and you're telling your story and it's honest and it's real, that's all you can do. Right.
So I'm going to share my screen in this weird way because I would like to see all of your faces because I felt like I was talking to myself and that was so while we do this, Joe's, I don't know if you have a good way to split folks
Yeah,
up.
I
or-
already have it set up.
Love
So, ladies and gents and everyone, we are going to be doing it's sort of split east and west. Central is kind of split between the two. And out of staters, you're Western PA. But yeah, so it'll send you automatically to these breakout rooms. And you're generally east and west.
And you'll have your trail guides in there. And I'm assuming we're probably split up somewhere.
Allie's in the east, Rachel's in the east, Bob's in the east, Kelly, Braden, myself, and Ever in the west.
Awesome.
Ever, you transplanted.
Okay, there you go.
Didn't know where to put
I'll
you.
do whatever I got to do. I mean, but again, Josie, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we're looking for the key piece of this really is your story, how you want to tell it.
Yeah.
That is the focus, right? I want to make sure that I'm getting that right for everybody here. That
Yeah.
as we're going into the regions, that's what the focus is.
So, regional facilitators, I want you to help lead the discussion of how's the homework going. Some of you guys have done all the homework, it's all submitted. Some of you have gone through the edits. Some of you maybe have just started. Some of you maybe wrote it, submitted it, and don't like it. And so the cool part about Trail is that you're not doing any of this alone. As Evan Allie said, for many of us, we were thrown into doing this stuff like out of thin air, like bam, tell your story. We don't have a keynote, do it. But in this group, we are here to help you perfect it. And it's not saying that the three of us have perfected anything, but we at least have the support to bounce stuff off each other. And that's what this is for, so that when you are put in a situation where whether you're advocating for the Family Care Act, whether you're advocating at a federal level, or if you're just talking to your doctor, that you have the skills to do that, and that you have a story that you know is important. And I think that that's come back over and over as I've talked to each of you or read your stories or just knowing who you are, I can see the story that could make a change in a law, in a situation. And it's about helping you bring that story to light to make that difference. And so, as we mentioned, this homework isn't about checking a box off. It's about preparing you for the next step to be advocates and lead change in the future. And so in these breakout groups, we want you guys to talk about where are you getting stuck on the quote unquote homework or goals for each month. Is there something that we could be doing to support you better in doing those? Is there a way to communicate better with your support folk in that area? And we're planning on really looking at reviewing your homework to give you feedback, not because you need a grade, not because you need to have a passing score, but to help you grow. And so, what is the best way to help you? And it's something I didn't mention, but want to mention is, as Everett said, your story, because it's you, because it's your constituents, which means, you live in a certain legislator's district. Because your stories matter, we want to help you share them however that is. And so if writing is not your strength, then we are more than happy to do a Zoom and record it. If you'd rather do a selfie video and send the video, that is perfectly fine. And even if you remember, Dan Miller mentioned that videos seem to be really more persuasive. And so we want to use your strengths to make a difference.
Yeah. We tried to use the homework to make it easier to break it down And I think for some, it might have felt more overwhelming. And so we want to do it in a way, or help you in a way, that allows you to get your story out in the way that you feel most comfortable doing. But to use this group as a support, right? Don't feel like you're out there alone, like Josie said. I can't stress enough how awesome it is to see almost 30 of you in here, helping each other to do this.
And I'm not going to let those of you off the hook if you were the ones that did the homework on time and you've checked it off, because we need you guys to, number
talk
one,
about what you did.
look at, can you help others work on their stories, or letters or whatever, but what do you personally want to gain from Trail? Is it that you want to better advocate and lobby for legislation? Is it that you want a bigger network? And we are here to help support your goals and how you want to do it. Yes, the Family Care Act is the ultimate outcome. We want to make sure that paid family and medical leave is available, and that's the underlying message for all of this. But at the end of the day, these are skills that you can use outside of it. Anything else, Ed, before I send you all away?
I think I'm done doing rah-rah stuff, but I mean,
I know, I was about to cut you guys off. I was like, okay, let's do what we promised and send them away.
Do you want them to come back? Or is
I
this
would love folks to come back, just because I think we have maybe a slide that has some final thoughts
okay,
on it, and we
so
want to make sure everybody's good to go.
Do we need a password or something?
you just sit where you are and you will magically
It's like
disappear.
the magic school bus. It's just gonna
Yeah.
whiz you away
and
to a
then, and then
breakout room.
it'll come up. You hit a button. You hit a little button on
You don't
your.
even have to hit a button.
He's not.
You will come back,
Oh,
whether you like it or not.
You'll be
Coming
teleported
back.
back. Yep.
So, okay, so about 11 minutes, I'm going to bring you back. Okay, whether you like it or not. So, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Don't leave though.
Okay, why am I getting pop-up?
Because you're going away.
I know, but I can't read it.
Disappearing. You're disappearing. Slowly.
Do I need to hit join?
It should push you there.
Well, it's not.
I'm gonna make sure everyone's spread out.
Because the disadvantage to this super comfortable chair is it kind of makes my ankle for actually clicking suck. So,
Are you able to click it?
I can give it a shot. Oh, shit. Sorry. Excuse my French.
For some reason, you're the only one still in here. There you go. Here, and I'm gonna bring everybody back in 1 minute.
Okay.
You guys are trickling back. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
It's good to be home. All right. Your birthday was good, Bob?
Cyber travel. Yes, it was very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Hi, Dawn.
Cyber travel is great.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Trickling. Welcome. Welcome. I think almost.
Hi.
got his back.
And we close that out perfectly on the one.
On
Did you
the
really?
one.
Wait, it's her.
We have teleported.
And we
Yeah,
we even had a countdown at the end.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's so you, Everett.
I know it is.
Happy New Year.
No, well, I mean, I just want to, I know we're gonna wrap this up, Allie, right, with some final thoughts, but
Mhm.
I really do think, and we should be doing those regional check-ins at some point during the hours that we have left, because it was awesome, I thought.
It was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to just kind of have the space because I also think we all have the best intentions from 1 month to another, right? And then we kind of go, oh, shoot, we were supposed to reach out to our regional facilitator or whatever the case may be. So I'm glad that we got some time to talk all together. I'm not sure what the messaging was in the other room, but I think we really felt like we clarified a couple of things. If you feel like you have a plan now for how you're going to either get feedback or complete, the different goals and telling your story, that's awesome. If you do not feel like you have a plan, please kind of hang out and make sure that we are getting a plan before you really head out for the night. We just want you guys to keep doing great work, keep working on your story. Hopefully now you feel a little more at ease and you feel like there are a lot of different options for how you can accomplish that. I think that our goal is to really have stories from you all in whatever capacity that you feel comfortable by the end of the month. Am I right on that, Joes? Yeah. So just be
Yes.
reaching out to us this month, figuring it out. We don't want it to be a point of stress. We want it to be something that feels beneficial to you. So let us know.
In a way, like it can be cathartic, like
Yeah.
like actually like beneficial to your soul to start like sharing your message. And initially it can be hard. I know a lot of people who I felt like so evil making them share their stories while they're crying, including my husband. And look, we still got married and it was fine. But it's like but seriously, like that first time can feel so hard. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. But that emotion is what makes it powerful.
Guys,
Yeah, that emotion definitely that makes it powerful. I think emotion makes us all connect to one another as human beings. I know when I've talked to a legislator, I try to make it shocking, and I've told them personal things. and to make it shocking, and because it was an emotional. So yeah, we want to have a lasting impact on what we're saying to the people, because these people have ability to make change for us. So I think it's a great thing that we're all understanding we can have emotion in this and share it.
Laura is trying to say something.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you. I was just going to ask, I don't want to put any pressure on the facilitator people, but I was just going to ask, if you say you're going to give us feedback, like when can we expect that? Or is it all in the classroom and have I completely missed it?
Laura, that is a great question, my friend. So right now, all of your information is on Google Drive. And I believe, unless I hear otherwise, that all of the facilitators should have access to that drive. Your facilitator, whoever that is, should reach out to you and let you know either that they're looking at it or when they'll have feedback, because I think each of the facilitators has a slightly different time frame. So can I ask you guys to reach out to your regions and let everybody know what your game plan is on that?
The other thing that we talked about in our group that I think might be helpful for everyone and for our facilitators too, we talked about, Laura and whoever else is sort of thinking about really wanting this feedback. Just reach out directly to your facilitators too and express how you would like to receive that feedback. We kind of mentioned that before, that some folks would like to actually have a meeting to sort of talk it through. Some folks would just like a couple notes on whatever their story was. So if you're feeling like you would like that feedback sooner than later, it might be a good idea to kind of start that advocacy journey and advocate for yourself on how you want the feedback. And then I like Josie's idea, kind of reaching out and letting your folks know a game plan otherwise.
Okay, so we are, as always, running a little late. But it's because you guys are awesome. So a couple things. This month is solely to help get caught up or to perfect or to take a breather if you've already done stuff. Reach out to your facilitators if you want feedback and haven't heard anything. Facilitators, reach out to your folk about feedback. And in February, we're going to get all back together and we're going to be talking more about, since our legislators are going to have been in session a month, actually starting to send emails out, trying to set up meetings. So this is sort of that, recoup month and get ready to move forward. So everyone, thank you so much for being a part of this, for joining. I will have office hours next Thursday at 7 p.m. I will send an email out about that. But, join, email me any point, same with your facilitators, and I will stick on here for as long as you all want to chat. But everyone else, you're welcome to go. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, all.
Bye, friends.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Lester.
Hey, Josie, I almost forgot. I love the pictures of your house on Facebook.
Oh,
They're
thank you,
awesome.
Monica. It's been such a weird time to be a house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, can I be in the same room with the painter? I don't know. Yeah, that's very weird. And I want to have a housewarming, and I want people to come here, and I can't,
Yeah.
And it's accessible, so I could have people use the bathroom if they needed to. Which, that's a rare event. So
that's a very rare event.
I know.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Be like, everyone, come use my bathtub or shower. Use the toilet. It's a party. Obviously, it's a party if you can use the bathroom. So
definitely.
All right.
Definitely. Definitely. I've gone to some people's houses where like, okay.
Oh, we've stayed, I am certain, in hotel rooms, restaurants, all those places. The Capitol, and can't use the bathroom. So
hotel rooms.
Yeah. My favorite is staying in a hotel that thinks my arms are like Stretch Armstrong because the bath seat is way back and the spigot is like 9 feet away. And I'm like, I'm here by myself. What do you want me to do?
Yes. Do you want to bring in your maid to help shower me? Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So
I have
hi
that same
Molly. I
problem.
haven't talked to you for a while. It's good to see you.
Well, have a good night, everybody.
Good
I will
night,
see
Monica.
you. I will review the draft and send it to you, Josie.
Review the secret draft. Okay.
The secret draft.
Okay.
Not
Have
that
a good one,
secret,
Monica.
All right. Bye.
Bye. So for those of you who, it's not a secret. So Monica and I are putting a general proposal for the Dan Miller Summit together. Dan Miller, he was the one that spoke at our first trail event. He does an annual disability and mental health summit. And so we're putting together a trail proposal to speak. It's more so about the importance of the disability voice and sort of the elements of like what you guys are all learning for trail. And if it gets accepted, I'm going to open it up to all of you and, whoever would like to present, we're going to bring you on in. But the proposals due, I think, next week, and I've just been farting around and didn't get it done. But it was Monica's idea. That's why she has access. It's not because she's a favorite. I don't play favorites. But
I know this was not quite a month ago, but like that thing that Kelly and I did with Bob Casey's staff and everything. Speaking, did that help any?
Oh, I mean, every time it's a huge help. So, Aaron, what I expect to see, and it's not going to happen probably, I wouldn't expect to see much till summer. They're just starting back up. So I'm hoping to see a paid family and medical leave either bill in itself or continued support in the COVID bills starting in the new year that includes paid family and medical leave. And I think that is where we're going to see the impact of what you guys say on a federal level. And Molly, this is for you as well. Like, there is no specific bill right now on paid family and medical leave federally. However, number one, there's been proposals. Number two, Trump and Biden had both verbalized their support of it. And so I expect to see something, but I think in the immediate, we're going to see some versions in the COVID relief bills. And so, although it might not look just like Family Care Act, we're going to see elements. And I think the more that we continue to share that message, the more likely that's going to reappear.
So like the bill itself is going to take shape more?
I hope so.
On a federal level, I mean.
But also, like, Casey is just cool. Like, Casey gets it. And, the more times, the more times that we can share stories, I know that they take notes of like what we're saying, and those ideas go back to him. So it's pretty sweet.
I have a logistical question about
sure.
About the homework.
Okay.
Is the February onward stuff available?
The February like goals and PowerPoint stuff?
Yeah, and the actual assignment.
For February, I don't think it's up yet. Normally, Allie and Everett put it together like this coming week because we normally go over it with the guides, like the facilitators, next Friday. So there should be something developed end of this week.
Okay.
But I don't even know what it is. Like we talked about topics, but I don't know what the actual assignment is. You think I know all these things? I don't. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants sometimes.
I don't mean to.
No, I'm just messing with you, Laura. I just I kind of like give them topics, and then they're like the teachers per se. So they're pretty cool folk, and I like that I can trust them to do that.
I have another question
Yeah, please.
that I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, is Kelly still around?
Yes, she is.
I just,
She's there.
I
She's
just,
gonna try to unmute. That mute is a tricky thing for her.
Yes, I'm still here.
I just have a comment for you, Kelly, and then I'm gonna try to get off here. No problem.
Yes.
Technology sucks. Kelly, I was wondering if you wanna offer me feedback, you can text me. If you ever wanna offer me feedback on a story or something, it might help if you call me too, because A, Siri is awful, and B, sometimes I can't always read your text fast enough.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And also I know sometimes for participants I slide in a little bit late, but I realized that there wasn't communication necessarily getting to everyone, and I wanted to make sure that everyone was being communicated to. So when I realized that I hadn't seen emails go out in a while because I wasn't CC'd on anything, Josie, I think you know what I'm talking about. You know, I just tried to kind of hurry up and slide on in there and make sure that everybody was covered and good, at least for now. But please reach out to me if you guys need anything. Let me know.
And
Like
hold
I
on.
said,
Captioner, you don't need to stay for this. You rocked. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Are you sure? I have.
Yeah, no. All of the people that needed it are off, and we're in a good spot.
All right, perfect. Have a great night.
Thank you too.
Thank you.